Good evening. I'd like to call this August 21st, 2018 regular board meeting to order. Our mission is to provide an excellent, equitable education and a safe, supportive environment so all students will succeed and contribute to a diverse and changing society. Ms. Tuttle, I'm sorry, we need to do the Pledge of Allegiance first. If everyone would please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Tuttle, would you please call the roll? Mr. Jerome?
Here.
Colonel Bondurant?
Here.
Colonel Fisher?
Here.
Ms. McConnell?
Here.
Mr. Doran?
Present.
Mrs. Dominique?
Here.
Mr. Rice is excused. Mr. Bartels?
Here.
Mrs. Lambert? Here. Mrs. Haas? Here. The board has a quorum. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to our first meeting of this school year. We're going to start this evening with our recognition. So our first recognition this evening is our ASAA First National Bank Alaska 2018 Solo and Ensemble Music Festival Command Performances. School district students who are giving command performance honors at the ASAA First National Bank 2018 Solo and Ensemble Music Festival will be recognized. Lucas Cluton, Alaska Music Education Association AMEA President-elect, will make the presentation.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. First, just a brief overview of how these students earned this recognition. They either prepared a solo or participated in an ensemble this spring and performed at the Regional Solo Ensemble Festival out of Northville High School in March. An adjudicator decided to award them a superior rating for a very good performance, qualifying them for the state festival. 6 weeks later, the students performed for a different adjudicator at that festival in Anchorage and were again awarded a superior rating, as well as being the first choice of 3 by that adjudicator to perform in the command performance. Each night of the festival, there's a concert where the top choice students who performed that day are invited to perform again in front of all the students and teachers participating in the festival to showcase their talent. These students were the best in the state in their respective categories this year, and Fairbanks is proud to have had 16 command performances out of the 43 categories. By contrast, Anchorage School District had 12 command performances, and the Kenai Peninsula Borough and Matsu Borough School Districts each had 6. In addition, Fairbanks had 9 other second or third place nominations for command performances. Since the state festival is the weekend before the school year is over, we couldn't do this recognition until now. We chose this first meeting to try to get graduated seniors before they left town for college. However, some of them have already left, and other current students were unable to make it tonight. Nevertheless, we wanted to recognize the students we could and to let the school board and public know about the accomplishments of our hardworking music students. Students who are here, as I call your name, please come forward to receive your certificate and remain standing at the front of the room until I call everyone. If the audience will please hold your applause until all students are in front, that will help move things along. In the brass ensemble category, from Lathrop High School, Jacob Batchelder, Andrew Parker, Lillian Sears, Cheryl Swarner, and Chase Melville. In the cello solo category, Rosalie Bertram from West Valley High School. In the clarinet ensemble category, from Lathrop High School, Naomi Boland, Mark Anthony Borja, Sonia Cheney, Angelica Kramer, Elena Vanderpost, and Emmanuel Aguilar. In the musical theater large ensemble, from Northville High School, Shahiba Batari, Jocelyn Rock, Adian Snyder, Brittany Roberts, Ashley Roberts, Adara Wyman, Moses Halbert, Danielle Robinson, Clarence Fontana, Michael Rosendahl, Jeremiah Scott, Logan Alex, Jaron Chafee, Caden Donald, Samantha Gregory, and Joel Denham. In the percussion solo category, Oscar Beausoleil from Hutchinson and West Valley High Schools. In the string bass solo category, Drake Lanham from West Valley High School. In the string ensemble category, from West Valley High School, Alex Apicella, Brian Ely, Elsa Mayo, Clara Hedman, Jack Cater, Nicholas McGraw, and Shane Matson. In the trumpet solo category, Jacob Batchelder from Lathrop High School. In the viola solo category, Lucas Candelaria from West Valley High School. In the violin solo category, Sydney Cox from West Valley High School. In the violin ensemble category, from West Valley and Hutchinson High Schools, Elsa Mayo, Sydney Cox, Andrew Cox, and Dylan Candelaria. In the vocal classical solo category, Camden Kegley from Lathrop High School. The vocal classical small ensemble category, from Lathrop High School, Paige Ellis, Lauren Bird, Ali Plachinsky, Meredith Myhill, Amara Hackett, Naomi Dershin, Jane Soderwind, and Camden Kegley. The vocal classical large ensemble category, from North Pole High School, Brittany Roberts, Leah Dustin, Raina Gerard, Tiana Taylor, Abigail Weatherspoon, Amy Stefan, Janice Dykes, Alina Rodriguez, Seth Dustin, Logan Alex, Moses Halbert, Michael Rosendahl, Caden Donald, Jeremiah Scott, Jaron Chafee, and William Mashburn. The World Instrument Small Ensemble category, from West Valley and Hutchinson High Schools, Sydney Cox and Andrew Cox. The World Instrument Large Ensemble category, from West Valley High School, Drew Larison, Caitlin Kangas, Kelsey Slater, Mary Cranford, Evan James, Caden Froon, Nels Christensen, Derek Pendley, and William Schuler. We could please congratulate all of these outstanding musicians. Students, if you would make a pass around the board and shake hands, maybe start on that far end with the base representatives and come back this way.
Let's have another round of applause for all of these students. Next is our Fairbanks Principals Association, or FTA, 2018 Elementary Principal of the Year. Corey Anthony, Ladd Elementary School Principal, was selected as the Fairbanks Principals Association 2018 Elementary Principal of the Year. Yep, it's on. It's green. Brian Powell, Nordell Elementary Principal, will make the presentation. Test. You guys have to for me.
Oh, I don't have teacher eyes anymore. Good evening. My name is Brian Powell. I'm the principal of Nordell Elementary School, and I'm here to present the Fairbanks North Scarborough School District Elementary Principal of the Year Award for 2018. Although the award is voted on by last year's principals, I have no doubt that if given the opportunity, many past students, staff, district employees would come to the same agreement that we did and decide that Corey Anthony deserves this award. Corey taught in our district for many years at the elementary level. She was an assistant principal at the secondary level and has been the principal at Ladd Elementary for the last 5 years. I reached out to some of our colleagues to see why they chose Corey as our representative for the award. One principal said, Corey is on the move, coming up with new ideas, new ways to make the building a better place for students and staff all of the time. She's a problem solver. Being an elementary principal can be a lonely place. So you get to know your colleagues by reaching out to them, usually in a panic, because you were hoping they have dealt with a problem before that you are now facing and have the perfect answer. Corey has become many of our principals' go-to person because of her ability to think through a problem clearly, apply district policies and norms to the problem, and suggest a solution that is the best for all involved. Her willingness to help others and share everything she does is legendary. I'm not sure if the board or public realizes how many intricate things went into working out all the issues to create K-8 schools in our district. It is important that you all know that many of the ideas that these transformed schools now embody came from Corey's ideas, visions, and ability to make sense out of confusion. And she shared it with everybody who asked. Her reflections, positive, upbeat presence, and analytical perspectives have been a driving force in the success of these transformations. Not only does she find success in transforming schools, her ability to help staff become the best version of themselves is evident by this statement from one of her staff members. I quote, Corey encourages people to be their very best, to fail forward, to be afraid not be afraid to try out a new lesson or idea. She celebrates with the entire staff, whether it works or doesn't, because she wants her staff to push boundaries and get out of their comfort zones. She recognizes that it is going to come with some lessons that are successful and some that are not. But we don't quit trying or give up, and it is good to share and discuss as a staff. Besides being an amazing school leader, Corey raises 3 school-aged children with her husband, is a member of multiple organizations, a women's hockey team, and provides leadership in our faith community, all with grace. I don't know about if it's grace at dinner time, because if somebody's having a conversation about a quick, easy meal, she will hone in on it and beg for that recipe. As long as it has less than 4 ingredients, it can be done in 20 minutes. Corey's not one to dwell on the negative. Even when Corey is tired, uncertain, and possibly frustrated with the work at hand, her most visible show of weakness or complaint is a slight eye roll, a shifted smile, and like magic, she's back to full speed for her family, staff, and students with energy, creativity, and generosity. Corey, I hope you understand from this award how grateful your colleagues are for having you on our team. You are an inspiration to many as a mentor, spouse, teacher, leader, and friend, and I hope you know how proud we are all to call you our Elementary Principal of the Year for 2018.
We're going to take a quick break and try and reset the mic so that the radio audience and you guys can hear everything, so just a moment. Okay, there we go. Can we get another round of applause for Corey Anthony? Next, we have the Fairbanks Principals Association FPA 2018-19 Secondary Principal of the Year. Heather Stewart, Ryan Middle School Principal, was selected as the Fairbanks Principals Association 2018 Secondary Principal of the Year. Petra Timmons, Ryan Middle School Assistant Principal, will make the presentation. I'm not going to move. Hello? 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 Okay.
I invite the Board of Education, attendees, our Ryan Middle School community, and the listening audience to join me in congratulating Heather Stewart. Ms. Stewart is beginning her 12th year as an administrator at Ryan Middle, and her 30th year as an educator. When speaking to staff, past and present, about Ms. Stewart, I find there to be 2 very distinct qualities that set Ms. Stewart apart: her passion for each student that walked into Ryan, and her commitment to staff. Ms. Stewart has an understanding of the scope of knowledge for the whole student. As a previous education teacher, Ms. Stewart comes to work every day to ensure that all students have access to an engaging and rigorous education. That is the foundation for every decision that she makes. Each year, Ryan has a theme and a logo. Our logo is to be a hero with a Captain America shield, and the theme is every kid, every day. To Ms. Stewart, every kid, every day is not just a catchy phrase. It's not generalized for the 400 students that arrive every morning. To Ms. Stewart, you can insert every single kid's individual name with the expectation that staff meets that kid's needs that day. Ensuring that we meet the expectation, she puts in hours analyzing data, building an equitable master schedule, creating classes, opportunities, having conversations with staff, organizing professional development, or facilitating building leadership teams. She never dilutes her commitment to meeting the needs to most students. Where she sees a need, Ms. Stewart provides the support so that we can say, yep, every kid, every day. Beyond academic success, Ms. Stewart connects with students that might have a challenge succeeding in the regular classroom setting. She instantly becomes that student's personal advocate and never backs down on her support for that student. She will help the student and staff build the skills so that we're all successful. To balance that need, Ms. Stewart always feeds her staff. She commits a large portion of each day talking with staff, just saying, how's it going? She works alongside staff and never uses the term you or they. It's always an us, our, or we. She helps out in any position when she sees a need and has a complete knowledge of that job. She never passes judgment. She really seeks to understand so that staff don't feel like they have to put aside, pause, or minimize what their outside world might bring to them that day. She listens, comforts, and supports staff. Staff does not check reality at the door to come to work. She creates a family environment so that we can all celebrate each other's successes. In turn, students know adults come into the building united and committed. We're ready to teach. We're real people that really like to work at Ryan. We are a piece of the puzzle in shaping students' learning. Ms. Stewart's the puzzle box. She counts each piece to make sure we're there each day, make sure we all fit together, makes repairs where needed. She keeps us united, and she has a nice picture on the top of the lid with our clear vision. Ms. Stewart always says Ryan is truly the best kept secret at Fairbanks. And you know what? We know why. Thank you, Ms. Stewart, for your commitment to your staff, students, Ryan families, and to the Fairbanks community.
Let's have another round of applause for Ms. Stewart. Adoption of the agenda. Consent agenda items marked with an asterisk are considered routine items not requiring public discussion by the school board. Unless removed from the consent agenda, asterisk items will be automatically approved with the agenda when the agenda is adopted. Questions concerning these items should be directed to the administration prior to the meeting. If the superintendent or a member of the public wishes to have an item removed from the consent agenda, the request must be made to a board member anytime prior to the start of the meeting. The board member has the discretion to accept or deny the request. Only a board member may remove an item from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it shall be considered as the last item of new business. Asterisk items will then be adopted by one single motion.
I would like to recuse myself from the adoption of the agenda with consent items due to my interest in consent item H11, H11, gift acceptance, Joy Elementary School.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead and make a motion. Mr. Bartels is recused.
Move to adopt the agenda with consent items, moving new business, item G1, approval of FY 2018-19 school district approved budget revisions to old business, item F1.
Second. Okay. Ms. Tuttle, would you please call the vote?
Colonel Bondurant?
Yes.
Colonel Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Jerome?
Yes.
Ms. McConnell?
Yes.
Mr. Doran?
Yes.
Mrs. Dominique?
Yes.
Mrs. Lambert? Yes. Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And Ms. Tuttle, would you please read the consent agenda?
The board has accepted the award in the amount of $19,784 for the Migrant Literacy Grant from the United States Department of Education through the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development for fiscal note 2019-01. Accepted the award in the amount of $5,000 for the Migrant Education Parent Advisory Council Grant from the United States Department of Education through the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development for fiscal note 2019-02. Accepted the award in the amount of $80,000 for the Education of Migratory Children Competitive Grant from the United States Department of Education through the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development for fiscal note 2019-03. Accepted the award of $839,928 for the Title VI Part 2 Indian Education Formula Grant from the United States Department of Education through the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development for fiscal note 2019-04. Accepted the award in the amount of $20,987.01 for the Food Distribution Administrative Fee Reimbursement Grant from the United States Department of Education through the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development for fiscal note 2019-05. The board has awarded RFP 18-R0005 for Administrative Service Center ADC Security Services to Phoenix Protective Corp for $49,290 based on anticipated first-year usage for the initial period of the contract, September 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. They have awarded IFB 19-R0003 potable water bulk directly delivered to Pioneer Wells Incorporated for $29,693.50. The board has approved Nordell Elementary School's request to raise funds for various classroom activities by participating in the Cars for Classrooms sponsored by Jeans Chrysler. Approved West Valley High School's request to send 4 to 7 members of its cross-country running team, a coach, and 1 to 2 chaperones to Walnut, California, October 18th through the 21st, 2018, where the team will compete in the Mount SAC Invitational at no cost to the district, but if Homeland Security issues travel warnings, students will not travel. They have approved West Valley High School's request to raise funds to send members of its cross-country running team to Marysville, Washington, October 4th through the 7th, 2018, where the team will compete in the Nike Hole-in-the-Wall Invitational at no cost to the district, but if Homeland Security issues travel warnings, students will not travel. They've accepted the gift of house shirts for students in grades 4 through 7, valued at $3,880.50 from North Pole Coffee Roasting Company Incorporated to Joy Elementary School for students to wear on Fridays or during house events to support social, emotional development and build unity. They've accepted the gift of miscellaneous house program supplies valued at $4,202.18 from Leilani Wizenhunt to Joy Elementary School for the transformation of 4th through 7th grade classroom areas to houses to support social, emotional development and family engagement. Accepted the gift of a football field scoreboard valued at $14,050 from Subway to Lathrop High School with the installation costs covered by the Lathrop football team. They've approved the minutes of the work sessions on April 16th and 30th, the regular meetings on April 17th and May 1st, and the special meetings on June 4th and August 13th as submitted, and approved the personal action report for the period May 24th through August 10th, 2018. The board has acknowledged the personal information report for the period May 26th through August 10th, 2018, the budget adjustment reports for the periods May 1st through June 30th, 2018, and July 1st through July 31st, 2018. The board's reading file and the committee events and meeting announcements.
Thank you, Ms. Tuttle. Mr. Bartels, you can join us again. Presentation on agenda items. Any person wishing to speak on an agenda item, action item, or a report will have 3 minutes to testify when that item is before the school board for discussion. There is a limit of 1 hour total testimony per item. Public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments on non-agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person for a maximum of 1 hour. People on the sign-up list will be called first. If there is time, people who did not sign up may address the school board. A person testifying must state their name and city of residence for the record. Board members may ask questions for clarification. Although there is time at the end of each meeting for school board and superintendent comments, some concerns may not be able to be addressed immediately as additional information may need to be gathered. On our sign-up list this evening, my first person is Tammy Wilson. You have 3 minutes to testify, and the clocks are on the screens.
Thank you very much for the record. My name is Tammy Wilson. I don't live in a city, but I am the state representative for District 3, Fairbanks North Borough. I'm saddened to be here tonight, but I am here on behalf of students that I have been speaking to who are part of the football team or were in the past. I had a meeting with them prior to the start of it. These were young men who were just so excited about being part of the team, being able to play. In June, I met with them again, and I saw a whole different group of men. I try not to call them children because they're young men, most of them who have graduated. The stories that they started sharing with me about their experiences last year, and you could just see it in their faces. Those who were excited at the beginning to now have little to no self-esteem. I spoke to about 7 to 8 of them that night, and they told me stories from things that were yelling in your face to actually a student who was shoved by the coach physically. chewing tobacco, which is assuming a big thing, and spitting on the field. I don't think that's something we want our children to be doing because they signed something saying that they're not going to participate in this. After I met with the students, I had them leave and met with the parents afterwards, and the only thing I could really come to say to them at that time is, please don't let this affect the rest of your life. And you could tell it was going to have a great effect. There is now a young lady who is now a freshman, out of state, who now have to live with what she believes is nothing that was done after she was aggressively shoved at a football game in front of many other people, including her parents. There is no dealing with that. I have heard that something may have happened, but there should never, ever be a time where it's okay for an adult to put their hands on anyone out of anger. I have reports here that show that these stories are true. I then met with the parents, and I asked what had they done. This had all started in March when I was in session, and I encouraged them to talk to the school board members. I asked them to talk to the administration to make the reports, and they did. And they truly felt nothing was heard at the time. I have written emails to the school board. I have met now with the superintendent. I tried to meet with the new principal, but it was unsuccessful because she didn't have time to be able to do that. But the parents talked about how they did try to say something, and what they found was retaliation on their children. They didn't get to play. They were benched. And you know the saddest part about the whole thing, as I sit here, is seeing two young men. One was able to play, and the other one had been benched because his parents had stepped forward. They were great friends. And one really didn't know how to step up for the other one, and they have to now live with, should one not have played and stepped forward and said, I'm not going to let this action take place? But that's something both those young men are going to have to live with for the rest of their lives, or what they should have, could have done, when at the end of the day, it really is for the adults to stop this bullying from happening. There is state law, there is policies that say bullying and this type of behavior is unacceptable anywhere, much less in your mission statement to protect students. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Okay. Next we have Tim Rosenthal. You have 3 minutes to testify, and the clocks are on the screens.
My name is Timothy Rosendahl. I'm the parent of a student at North Pole. I reside in North Pole. While we were in the at the All-State camp down in the Palmer area, I witnessed we were in a scrimmage against the Soldotna High School, which was Coach Devini's former high school that he coached, was assistant coach for. And during the scrimmage, the coach for Soldotna High became outraged because he believed that one of our players had a helmet-to-helmet infraction. And Coach Devini was infuriated and embarrassed, evidently, and struck his player on the head in the helmet. I just do not believe that somebody should be coaching these young people who has more concern about himself and than the well-being of the students. You know, he has also berated, yelling and screaming, berated the students right in front of everybody in the stands watching, which, again, for these young people, it's quite demeaning and discouraging. I believe we should be lifting our young people up and not tearing them down, as I've seen and witnessed Coach Devini during his time there in North Pole.
Mr. Rosenthal, real quick, this is the first that I've heard of this incident. Could you provide a date? Was that this summer, or was that?
I've submitted email and written to everybody from through ASA, through the school board. I could send.
I don't think that there's a recollection on the board that we've received it, and Ms. Tuttle is very good. I respond to every email we get. So if you could resend that, I'm wondering if there was a server error or something that occurred, because this is new information versus the previous testimony was information we've heard previous. So if you wouldn't mind sharing that, I think that would be important for the administration to look into that information, because that's important, and I believe that it's new. Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Oh, Mr. Dorn has a question as well.
Just a quick one. Thank you for coming tonight. And I might have missed it. Do you have a child who's on the football team?
He's graduated this year. He was on the previous. He was a senior this year. Great. And he was on the football team this year.
Right. Okay. When these events are.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much.
We don't have anyone else signed up. Thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward? Okay, there's an open seat.
My name is Pat Wilson. I'm from North Pole. I have a grandson who's in high school. I have a son who just graduated, and I was asked to come down today because of some concerns that were mentioned throughout the last couple of years. And then I have written letters and that, and it took a long time to get response from the district, and never got really response to the school. I understand that we got new personnel within the school system and that, but one of my concerns is, why do we have sports in school? Through participation activity programs, let students learn discipline, build self-confidence, and develop skills to handle competitive situations. These are qualities students need, these are qualities that students need if they are to become responsible adults, productive citizens, and skilled professionals. Activities promote health and well-being, whether that you need or. And then coaches, why do we need good coaches? A successful coach are more than just great motivators. They are leaders, mentors, teachers. They cultivate the behaviors in athletes and drive passion and performance. Well, within the past couple of years, I have been a coach for North Pole. I have coached soccer. I've coached baseball. I've done youth coaching, adult coaching when I was stationed in the Air Force at several air bases and that. And to me, sports is very important, and so is the youth. We're supposed to be building these cultures and helping these children develop. But when you belittle them, more or less you bully them, it takes these kids down. I don't know what we can do. Maybe some of my suggestions is maybe do a survey with an anonymous survey with the students that are playing these sports and with the parents and see what the consensus is right now of what the situation is. We're getting kids hurt out there. We're getting kids that are being bullied or being retaliated because parents say something to the coach. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at in the sports program within the school system and need to be looked at in the coaches and how they perform and how they do things. And one of the things the coach is supposed to be doing is communicating with the parents and that, not fighting with them, not, arguing with them. Emails have been sent out, they don't get replied, or if they do, again, the child gets retaliated. As I said, I've written a long letter. I don't want to go through it all because it would take more than what time is up there. But I know it has been passed in there, and it's something that just needs to be looked at for the safety and well-being of our students and for the sports program itself, because if we don't start acting on this stuff, we're going to lose our program. And I don't want to see that. Sports program is very important for me, and I want to see these kids enjoy it. This is something that they're supposed to remember once they graduate, not something that they dread. And there's a lot of students that I have talked to that have dread every minute of it, but they stay because I asked them to stay.
I don't know where your letter's been. It's not one that I believe that we've seen. But if you'd like to have the opportunity to forward that, and then the administration can also look at that, since you did identify that you sent it under previous high school administration, it might be helpful just to make sure that it is on the record, because I don't know, but it's not something that I believe that the board has.
It was sent back out on November 6th is when I sent it
Oh,
out.
to the school administration?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we can have our administration here follow up to make sure that that is was also received through the appropriate channels here in this building. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Arnett has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you spoke that you were a coach at the North Pole High School. Are you a coach at the football team?
I was.
Oh, but were you there when this coach was there as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've had talks with him as well?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I'm no longer coaching there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your testimony. We're going to open seat if anyone would like to come forward. If you could state your name and city or borough area. Some people just say an area of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes to testify.
My name is Connie Beckwith. I am in the downtown area. I am here representing a child of Ryan Middle School and her mom. They have pretty serious concerns about the school bus issue. There is no school bus going from here on 3rd Avenue to Ryan Middle School. One of their concerns was not only the temperatures in the wintertime, but the concerns of the people that reside in downtown are not really safe to be around, especially when you're walking alone. Pedophiles, drunks, alcoholics, drug addicts. Those are the people that reside in downtown. Those are the people that she has to walk past every day to go to school. And I feel that it's really an unfair situation because she lived in the same apartment last year and she had transportation last year provided. This year it's not. They won't even acknowledge her. So that's what I wanted to bring forth here. I'm sure it's not just Ryan Middle School, it's the downtown area. But I'm sure there's others who haven't stepped forward yet about, like maybe even Southside. That's a violent crime area. Students have to walk through there. That's pretty concerning to me. Seeing, on my way to work every day, I see these students walking alone, and that's just not good. So I just wanted to request more transportation for the students.
Ms. Beckwith? Mr. Bartels has a question for you.
Ms. Beckwith, I just had a quick question. You said that last year there was bus transportation provided?
Yes.
Was the student in elementary or was the student at Ryan?
No, she was at Ryan.
Ryan last year? And it's the same address this year?
Same address.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have an open seat if anyone would like to come forward. If you can state your name and city of residence for the record, you have 3 minutes to testify. Let me get you to pull a little closer to the, thank you. You can move it forward if we just need it for the record.
Say it again.
We need the mic closer to your mouth in order for it to pick up on the record.
Hi, my name is Mavis Morales.
Yeah, we're going to need you to pull it closer. Can you move it closer towards you? It should move.
That's about it.
Okay.
My name is Mavis Morales.
Are you picking it up? Use your teacher voice. Big voice. Mavis Perales? Perales. Okay.
And I am here also from North Pole High School. I've seen the program change a lot. My friend has been in it for 4 years. It's changed a lot. The kids don't want to be part of the team anymore. We've asked several board members for help, and that's why we're here. We're trying to get things changed. We want things to change. We need things to change. This is pretty much our last resort. We've already talked to administration, so we're here asking for your help.
Is that your testimony? Yes. Okay. Ms. Lambert has a question, and Mr. Bourne.
So your son's been in the program for 4 years.
This will be his 4th year.
Can you tell us the things that have changed over the course of these 4 years and when you think that change might have happened?
The number of players are down. They just don't seem to care anymore. The kids are there to do a job. They just want to be part of the team, but they're not trying anymore.
Is that because of the atmosphere? Or?
It's the atmosphere, just the demeanor of the way they're being treated.
Okay. So, thank you.
Mr. Bourne?
Thanks for coming tonight. Just to clarify for the record, the program that you were talking about is which sport?
The football team.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward? Okay, seeing none, public testimony is closed. And I just got logged out on my computer. I would ask that anyone that does have any information that they would like to share to please send that in. My memory is that we received one email from Tammy Wilson regarding these concerns, and so if there are other emails that just because it was sent to one person doesn't mean that it has to come to the board address in order for the board to receive it. So if there's information, the administration definitely wants to have that information so they can look into these concerns. As far as the busing, if we could get an update on that, or even not an update, but just if it could be looked into as to why the change occurred, and maybe that could be explained to the family. And I should have said this when you testified, Ms. Beckwith, but if you could actually reach out to either the school or to the transportation department and let them know, hey, I testified, this is the student that I'm testifying on behalf of, along with other students. We heard your concerns there, but specifically on the student that you represented, then they could get back to the family and figure out what's going on, or if there's been a change that would, that makes this situation occur. So, and with that, we will move on to our information and reports. This is related to our goal and objective around effective communication. Establish relevant, inclusive, and consistent two-way communication to enable and encourage student, parent, staff, and community connectedness with the district, and increase the diversity of voices within the district. Dr. Alice Ott, Senior Research Analyst, will provide an overview of the results of the 2017-18 School Climate Report. Let me give them a minute to get set up.
Thank you, President Haas. So this should come up pretty soon. Okay, so as President Haas was saying, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to the board, I'm going to do a brief overview of the school climate results. So the U.S. Department of Education contracted with the American Institute of Research to develop a suite of surveys for students in grades 5 through 12, parents, and staff. It is a reliable, nationally validated suite of surveys. It takes a short amount of time to complete, anywhere from 47 to 83 items. The first set of items ask about demographics such as gender and race ethnicity, and majority of the survey are a series of positive statements about the school that ask the responder to indicate whether their level of agreement from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And these were administered in the last 2 years. The response rates have increased between 2017 and 2018, our latest survey. Most noticeably with the parents, the response rate almost doubled to 20%. Still looking at those response rates of 61% for students, 20% for parents, and 47% for staff, I think there's room for growth there. There are results that come from those surveys that compile the responses to the set of items in 3 domains and 13 topics within those domains. Those domains are engagement, safety, and environment. Engagement is about the school connectedness, since or staff or parent sense of belonging with the school. The topics are cultural and linguistic competence, relationships, and school participation. The safety domains on physical and emotional safety deals with bullying, substance abuse, and emergency readiness and management. The environment domain is instructional and physical environment, disciplinary policies, physical and mental health. In fall of 2017, the American Institute of Research developed some benchmarks for the scale scores so that we could have perception levels associated with those scale scores to help with interpretation. There's 4 levels of perception, from very negative, to positive, and very positive in those domains and topics that I just referenced. As such, the results for the school climate data are presented by percent positive and very positive, which is analogous to most of our state assessments, such as the PEAKS, where we provide rates of proficiency and proficient and advanced. Okay, so there's a publicly available dashboard that was released this morning, and so I'm going to access that and show a few things quickly on that. So at the school district's website, anyone can access this, right, under quick links. Okay.
While you're getting your signal back, I just have to give a shout out to the dashboards. They're really awesome.
I'm definitely working on, maybe I'll just unplug it and put it back in, developing as we go forward more and more dashboards. This one's a little update to school climate, given that we have 2 years of data, as well as, here we go. So what I did was under the school district's website, there's a little link here for district data dashboards under quick links, and that leads you to this next page. It kind of has a little quick description of the data dashboard, and then we'll click on that, and as President Haas was mentioning, there's a data dashboard that has several different vizzes available: graduation rate, enrollment, state assessment, district assessment results, and this will be expanding over time as I work through each of the dashboards and add more. The latest update is an update to the school climate. 3 vizzes, one for students, staff, and parents. Notice that I've combined the staff one. That's because the instructional and non-instructional staff surveys had a lot of items that overlapped. They're the exact same items. So I just combined those and then included a filter to choose instructional or non-instructional staff if whoever is accessing this wanted to see those individually. All right, so for the benefit of time, I'm just going to focus on one group, so let's look at the students. And I'm just going to review some of the options that are available. So I'm going to go large screen here. So the first screen that comes up is the positive rates, the percent of positive and very positive results for school climate in the domains of engagement, safety, and environment for the years of 2017 and 2018. In the upper right, you can make a choice of, you can look at the trend, like that's the default, or you can aggregate, select all years, and what that does is it combines 2017 and 18 together. Okay, so let's assume we don't do that, we just do a trend. The next choice you can make is a comparison group. Essentially what that does is it gives you all the different levels for that group you've selected and putting all that data right next to each other for the purposes of making comparisons. So I'm just going to choose one for now and selecting school group, which is elementary, middle, and high school. So with that selection, say within safety, you can see that there's a difference in our positive rates depending upon the type of school. So we see middle and high school have lower positive rates than elementary for safety. next, let's look. Oh, the last option is the filter. The filter is more specific. You could select a specific school group that you wanted to look at. So if I picked all students and I wanted to look at just elementary, I could just unselect middle and high, and the data that's there is now just for elementary, for example. Or if I wanted to focus on secondary, I could pick middle school and high school. So I'm just showing quickly the kinds of options. There's lots of options available to review the data. Okay. So let's go to other tabs here. The second tab is data on, we asked each individual grade your school, essentially, given an A, B, C, D, or F. This shows the percent of A's, B's, D's, and F. Okay, so A is in the blue, B, C, D, and F. So there hasn't been a huge change in those percentages between 2017 and 2018. The next three tabs are on each of the topics and the rates for those. So for example, under safety, we have emotional safety, physical safety, bullying, and substance abuse. So notice that within those topics, we have different results. If you want to drill down further, you can look at the individual items within those. So for example, under relationships, there's a set of items that are part of the relationships topic. So you could look at specifically, what were the frequency of responses to the question or the statement, my teachers care about me. So this first little bar here is going to tell you 23% of students strongly agreed with my teachers care about me. And the next one is 60% agreed, 13% disagreed, and 4% strongly disagreed. So you could look and review each of these items individually. Okay. So I'm going to go to the conclusion here, and we can leave that for further discussion if needed. Okay. All right. So these are the example screens that we just went through. Okay. So if you look at the individual items one by one, you'll see that in general, at least more than 50% of individuals are either agreeing or strongly agreeing with the positive statements about their school. When it comes to those positive rates I was talking about, it's at least 3/4 for students and staff for every domain. The grade point averages, meaning you take a school and you look at every grade that school was given by students and average those, they're pretty similar to what they were last year. Note that 4.0 would be not necessarily, a GPA for a school is not going to be comparable to what's given to students, because in order to get a 4.0 for a school, that would be every single individual would have to give an A to their school. So keep that in mind. As you can see in the dashboard, there's been some decrease in the percent positive and very positive for each domain between last year and this year. I reviewed the what I call the perception gaps. All that really is achievement gaps, but for school climate. Is there a difference between how, say, by gender, male and female, view school climate for the different domains? And what I found was that there was not much difference, at most a small effect size. Also note that I mentioned last year, and it's similar this year, that groups that typically don't have lower performance on achievement, you might see high performance in the school climate data. And I recommend that we administer this suite of surveys every year in the spring, if not every other year. And there's a reference to some resources from the Department of Education, including a school climate resource package. Okay, so any further questions now?
Thank you, Dr. Ott. Is there any public testimony on the school climate survey? Okay, seeing none, I will go to the board for questions and comments. We'll start with Ms. Dominique.
Mr. Ott, I'm not a computer person. I'm not real good with computers and things, but I really want to thank you for the way that you set up this school climate survey. We've come a long way with the survey. But I also would like to know, is there a way to find out what schools are participating the most and which ones are participating the least?
Within the next few days, I'm going to complete a report, a paper document, and I'll be posting it to the website. And it will include response rates by school, and they definitely vary quite dramatically. Some schools have significantly higher participation rates, and some didn't participate at all. So they definitely vary, and that will be there. Yes.
And I also, just a follow-up, I also heard you say there was an increase in the numbers for this climate survey.
Yes.
You're able to state which schools participated more and less in that too, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. McConnell.
Great report. I'm just wondering, you had mentioned earlier that you said the parents' rate had increased nearly doubled. And previously, is that elementary or secondary, or are there just any indications why that rose so high?
That's a good question. I don't think I've looked at that individually yet, meaning did the parent response rate increase for both elementary and secondary schools? I haven't looked at that individually yet. Off the top of my head, it's something I can look at. As far as why, I would give a shout out to our communications department. I contacted them and said, help me out with outreach. Well, that was one major player. They put out several different ways of sending out a single link of go to this SurveyMonkey web address and complete the survey. I intentionally made it as easy as possible for parents to access, no usernames and passwords, that kind of stuff. It intentionally meant to improve our response rate, both in outreach and also the ease of getting to the survey and completing the survey.
Good job. Mr. Dorn?
Thanks for the report. I also appreciate it and the work that goes into it. I know a lot of analysis and time you put into it. Just following up a little bit on Ms. McConnell's, I was very glad to see the increases in all three categories. And one of my questions was going to be, do we have any indications why that increase happened? What efforts were made to really bring that about? Because especially the parent one last year was very low. It's still low.
Right.
And any efforts that we can go forward to increase those, but also the students and staff rates. With that in mind, and since you said that that's a piece you still have to go into, so we'll look forward to that. But was this available both in paper format as well as online?
Which thing in particular?
The survey?
Yes. Yes. There was, I believe, at least one school that did request paper documents, and they can use the paper documents and then, access the same web address and take the paper document and fill out the survey. So yeah, there's not that limitation. Yeah.
Great. Really appreciate it because I know there are
All
many.
schools had the copies of the survey, so if anyone said, I don't really want to do the online thing, they could ask for a paper copy and fill that out.
Great. Okay. Appreciate that availability because I know we still have many people in our
Right.
community that don't have the access. Just a clarification in the conclusion, you say 3/4 of students and staff, and the clarification is those were of the responding
Correct.
students and staff.
Correct.
And this might be linked. I'm interested in that it's nationally validated, which is great. I'm very interested in who validated and how that was done. And maybe related to that is if we look at the 2017-18, there's some slight discrepancies, mostly a little bit less in percentage, but they're mostly within 3%. There's some variance to that. But is that a significant thing in terms of the validation, or that's you'll get some variances no matter what when you go year to year, and especially with an increase in the number of responses.
Right. So
nice.
if I'm understanding it correctly, you're talking about what Tim is asking is the differences that we might see between 2 years, say the 92.4% and the 90.8% for engagement, for example. We need to consider the fact that these each years are a sample of students because not all students respond to the survey. That is true. And I reviewed what's referred to as statistical significance, and all that really means is if I see a difference in the two samples, which is what we have, do I have enough evidence using statistical analysis? Do I have enough evidence to argue that I have the same? Do I still have a difference in the population that I can't actually review because not all students responded? It's not like our achievement test where we get 95% participation. These are all statistically significant. Part of that comes from the fact that these are very large samples. You can see here these are in the 4,000 range here. If you watch political polls and whatnot, it'll say plus or minus 1% or whatever percent it says. Oftentimes they have 1,000, and that's pretty sizable. Here it's very sizable. That being said, it's still not necessarily random. So what that means is a good question to ask or think about is there a difference between the group of students that responded to the survey and the group that did not? Is there something different about those two groups? Are our students that think less have lower school climate results? Are they more or less likely to complete the survey? I can do some review, which I did with demographics, such as gender, race, ethnicity, GPA, risk levels, and try and look at are those distributions different in 2018 versus 2017, and they weren't. But that's not everything, right? There's only so much I can review to try and look at sampling bias. It's called sampling bias. So, are responders different? So that's just something to keep in mind when reviewing this data. And you're right, as the response rates go up, that issue becomes less of a problem.
And my last question on this, and maybe it's just updating me, is this in addition to what we used to do as parent opinion poll, or has this replaced the POPs?
This has replaced several surveys, including the POPs. It's replacing the senior survey. I think there's also a secondary, elementary and it was a secondary student survey. So the intention was to replace those and not have several different things that didn't have overlap between them. This is intentionally created to have complete overlap and the ability to compare. Now that we have these positive rates, you can compare positive rates between students, staff, and parents on the items, but for students and staff, you can directly look at the differences in safety, for example, or engagement or environment.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Trump.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a few questions. So first one being, with an increase in student engagement by 10%, do you know if there was one or more demographics that responded more in 2018 than 2017? Was there a specific one or two or more demographics that responded, or was it even across the board?
That's a good question. So that was part of the analysis that I was talking about, where I looked at were the demographics of our 2017 responders different in 2018? Was a particular group responding at a higher rate than another, and they weren't. So based on that, I get the impression that the increase in the response rate was in general.
Okay. And then my next question, you said that schools with a lower test scores on average have higher climate results. Does that mean that schools that are performing lower on our standardized tests are showing a higher level of satisfaction? Is that correct?
No. What I was getting at is that sometimes when we have schools serving students that are having challenges in the traditional set of schools and have needs, alternative schools will offer opportunities for those students. And what we'll find with those schools, for example, starting our charter school, when we look at achievement data such as graduation rates and test performance, you'll see lower results for them. But when it comes to school climate, given that it's social emotional type information, you can get completely different results with that. That doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not doing well in performance in achievement, you're going to do well in social emotional. What I'm saying is that this data is very different than the achievement data, which means that those schools that might not do well on grad rate or test performance can do well in school climate. And I believe last year I pointed out specifically, like you can look at, let's scroll down to them. Star of the North, and just as Wendy had mentioned, Star of the North is an example of a school that actually had an extremely high response rate as well.
Okay.
And you can see there they have very high positive rates in all domains.
Okay. Thank you. That clarifies what I was asking. And then I just wanted to sort of vocalize a concern when I went and I compared, and this is more for the school board itself, but when I went and compared for students who identify as African American only, Alaska Native or American Indian only, Asian Pacific Islander only, or Hispanic, there was a roughly 9% drop in safety positive responses for safety, and I just think that that's something that we should really keep an eye on. I don't know what the cause of that is. Again, with statistical bias and whatnot, that could be a fluke. But again, if we do this school climate survey again and that number continues to drop, I think that's something that we really need to keep an eye on, because we have to make sure that our priorities are there and making sure that our minority students are taken care of. And then I had just an idea, possibly to get that number of 61% of students taking the survey up, possibly administering the survey during standardized testing weeks, when it's easier to make sure that all students have access to a computer because we're already in those testing environments. Just a concept. I know that students are taking plenty of tests during those weeks, but it seems like maybe an ideal opportunity where we have students behind computers anyway, that if we could be getting them taking these tests, we'd be able to get the most accurate data possible. So thank you a lot, Dr. Ott, for your report and for your answers.
Thank you.
I have a question about just clicking through each of the schools individually. If there's a school that didn't have a comparison for 2017 and 2018 for two areas, is that just maybe a data piece that you would want to go back and look at, or is there really schools that the students only took the engagement piece of the school climate? Because I don't recall it being broken out quite that it could be.
We might need to talk further about it.
Okay,
But
I'll shoot an email.
Yeah, there is suppression in it. I didn't go into too much detail about it here, meaning I have certain rules in there that are meant to, if someone does a filter that would effectively release students' individual data,
right,
and then it should
This is just the full school. So I'll shoot an email to Dr. Gaborik.
Yeah, that would help. Some schools...
maybe there were only 2 students that responded, and true. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
My next question, actually, you're off the hook here, is for the administration. Dr. Ott has done a really great job of presenting this. Again, big shout out on the dashboards, not just this dashboard, but all of our dashboards now are really incredible links to important data. But my question really is, what happens with this data? How are we using this data to impact our students, our staff, our parents? How are we as a district? How are principals? How is this data relayed to staff to help build school climate? It's great to have data, but if we're not doing anything with it, so I'm curious what avenues we're planning to take with this specific data, because I think one of the biggest things you see in looking through this, when I looked through it this afternoon, is safety. And I think Mr. Jerome noted that we do have some bias around safety right now, and those are very real. But what as a district, so just how is the administration looking at moving forward and helping to use this data to make a positive impact?
So once the data is released and the dashboards become live, then the intention, and usually both assistant superintendents spend some time at a principals meeting on this, and just give principals a chance to dig in and make sure they're familiar with the dashboard. And then the intention is that principals take this to their staff. Sometimes it's leadership teams, sometimes they do it with entire staff, and really dig into their own school's data and look at that. And again, looking at students and parents and staff. And then as a district, we look at the trends. Of course, what I first went to when I saw this was safety, and thinking about some of the things that we are working on, and are there places, are we hitting the right marks, based on some of these perceptions? Are there other things we need to do? Of course, parent engagement is a big key as well, and that was our lowest responding group. So can we continue to engage parents that way? So yeah, I think so at multiple levels, at the school level, and then at the district level with these district-wide trends, and just trying to identify, we have some initiatives in place. Are we headed in the right direction, and are there other things we need to look at? So,
thank you. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ott. We'll look forward to seeing the full report once it's published on the website. And again, for the listening audience, you can go to the K-12 North Star website and then go to data dashboards in the parent section. And there's all kinds of dashboards that are being housed there, as well as future ones that will be housed there. So it's a great source of information for the public. We have we have action item old business. Oh, we have to superintendent report. Sorry. Just rolling right along. I'm a little rusty. I'm a little rusty. It's been a bit, yeah. Okay, superintendent report. This is related to our goal and objective around effective communication. Establish relevant, inclusive, and consistent two-way communication to enable and encourage students, parents, staff, and community connectedness with the district, and increase the diversity of voices within the district. Dr. Gaborik will now provide a superintendent report. Thank you, Dr. Gaborik.
I think that was my cue to keep it short. I'm on it. Okay, so I just again wanted to thank Ellis for the report. Ellis has really found his stride with these dashboards of reports, coming up is, I know the board had a request. We really backed off on reports when we lost our research and accountability department. Like Ellis is all that's left standing from that whole department. So we moved to the dashboard model, which has been terrific. And discipline is, I've asked that be added to his next list of projects. And our goal is to have that dashboard up by the time the board has their work session on December 3rd. I think it's scheduled for. So hopefully we'll have some of that data that you're looking for. I just wanted to specifically thank Representative Wilson and the parents who came to testify, and thank Ms. Wilson for coming to meet with me. Labor Relations continues to work through concerns that are brought to the school, because of course those get shared with Labor Relations and district administration. The challenges that personnel issues are confidential, so they can't always give a full report back about what may or may not occur. Our goal, certainly myself and Ms. Kraska, is to support the new principal, Sherry McKenzie. I think she has a very positive outlook and has had a good start to the school year in general, and she understands there's concerns with football and knows that she needs to give that a lot of attention. We want a very healthy, productive, safe experience on that team. Assistant Superintendent Kraska and Ms. McKenzie have met with parents already, and then both of them have been invited, and I believe we're going to attend the booster meeting tomorrow night, so they'll continue to stay connected with parents. And then I've had multiple conversations with Principal McKenzie just about supervision on trips and making sure that, again, that that we have lots of adults involved in football typically. I mean, there are many coaches, but that her staff is there and aware and just has eyes on what's happening on the football field. So we're working our way through some of the concerns which are have come from some time ago and some that are newer. So I just want to also introduce Andy DeGraw over there, new face in the team on the cabinet row there. So he's our new chief operating officer. He comes to us from Wyoming, where he served as business manager of Bighorn County School District for the past 8 years, and then prior to that, he was actually a financial advisor for Ameriprise Financial. So he can always get into his ear about that, your personal investments. He has an MBA from Utah State University and a BA in business management from Utah Valley University. But he actually is from Fairbanks, where he spent a great deal of time here. I don't know if he was born here, but he graduated from Latrobe High School. So he knows Fairbanks, and he brought his family with him. All 4 kids were able to get here and start the first day of school in Fairbanks. It's very exciting. So we're having some good transition time with Lisa Pierce. Lots of intense time next week, and so I think the handoff will go pretty well. And And I have Lisa on speed dial, so that's good. So we will just ensure that as Andy learns the ropes, that we have Lisa as a support as needed. So I want to let the board know that we're going to start the brown bag lunches. So that was an idea that Mayor Castle has brown bag lunches with assembly members, and I found that out and thought that was a fabulous idea. So I'm going to do that with board members. So Ms. Tuttle will send out an email that we've identified. It's about monthly, the dates and different topics that will be involved with that. So if there's a date that works out for you, and we'll just do it right upstairs, and we'll start that. So I just want to talk about PEATS a little bit because that is coming, and so that's the annual test. The spring test that now we've had the second administration of. So as you know, it becomes public. Those results become public on September 5th. So Wednesday, we've got lots of things happening behind the scenes to prepare for that. On Wednesday, August 29th, the communications department is going to send out a roundup email from me that talks about all the resources that are out there for parents. It'll have links to results. It'll have information from the Department of Education. It has FAQs and all of those things. So individual reports, as has been the case in the past, will be available through PowerSchool. If parents want a hard copy, they can get that from the school. And then principals are working with staff to be able to talk with parents about their individual student results. And so probably most of those conversations will happen at parent-teacher conferences, which is still a ways out. But if a parent were to come in and have questions, so hopefully everybody will be ready. And then we will also have we'll do a press release, and then we'll have a press conference, and we'll talk with the media about our results and how that looks. So anyway, and then we'll get a sense too of sort of the statewide picture, and we always compare ourselves to the other large districts and see how that looks. So that's coming. We are on day 4 of school, and so our projected enrollment is 13,643. Today we are at 13,157, so that's 96.4% of our projection. Typically we're at about 98. My eyes aren't featured anymore either. 98.7%, so we're about a little over 2% off what we usually trend. So we'll see. Potentially that could end up that by the end of 10 days we'll be 300 students down. The important number is the October count, that 20-day October count. There's not real strong correlations there between the end of the 10-day count and the October count, but there is a trend that if we're down at the 10-day, we're often down somewhat at the 20-day. So I think we just need to be ready for that. So interesting anecdotal information about different movement in the military, in and out. Why some schools are up, some schools are down. So you just always are trying to read the tea leaves when it comes to where the kids show up. But the good news is we were able to move some teachers ahead of schedule. We still have some hotspots that we need to address. So there's going to be a couple more shifts that we're going to make in teachers to deal with some hotspots at schools. But because of the pre-work, mostly at elementary, that Kate was able to do, it's been so much smoother than it was before we started that process last year. So hiring updates. So Fairbanks Principals Association. So these are principals and assistant principals. Over the course of the spring and summer, we filled 13 positions, 7 external folks, and then 6 were internal, so folks that transferred to new positions. So far with certified staff, 124 positions have been filled. 78 are coming from outside the district. 46 were internal transfers. And this year, because the budget process, because we finished early and the session finished closer to a normal time, we had a reasonable transfer period for teachers, which we haven't had in 2 years. So teachers who maybe have been wanting to move had a chance to move. So we saw a lot more internal movement this year. We still have 13 unfilled certified positions. We have 4 PE positions, 2 elementary, 2 special education, 2 science, a part-time math, and part-time instructional coach, and a part-time social studies. So still working on those. And every year there seems to be a different position that's hard to fill. And this year it's PE for some reason. So PE, yeah. So anyway, it's hard to find that. So and then with classified staff or support staff, they filled 87 positions since July. 59 have been new hires, and 29 have been internal transfers. Support staff have a rolling vacancy rate throughout the year. They're shifting. So they have about 74 positions unfilled. That'll go down over the course of the year, but they'll always have some vacancies as people move to new jobs and things. So and then I just wanted to announce that the next K-12 magnet visioning session will happen September 5th. So it'll be 5:30 to 7 right here in the boardroom, and it'll be an exact repeat of a session we held in June. And so we'll send out an invitation again and it's across the community. It could be parents, could be community members, teachers, anybody, support staff, anybody who wants to attend. Mr. Dorn was at the last one, came to the last one. So it'll be the exact same session that we held in June, so that if people weren't here this summer, they can come again. And it really is about visioning what a K-12 magnet might look like within sort of the basic boundaries, parameters that we set up. So and then I'll send out we've started a landing page for the K-12 magnet, so we can so people can track the progress and like the notes from the meetings and all that. And then we'll lay out sort of what the stakeholder engagement for the rest of the fall semester looks like. And then my plan right now is to do a touch base with the board, probably at a work session in January. So and kind of give you an update, and then we can talk about next steps. So kind of like we did for K-magnet, just kind of check in about maybe at least once a semester, so we can decide what we're seeing and where we want to go. So that's it. Thank you.
And I'll take the liberty of adding just. Oh, do you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
My first question is, I attended one of the forums that they had for people running for office, and Representative Thompson spoke that we were 49th in the nation, but we're number 1 in the amount that we are getting for each student. I just wanted to know if that was true. So he's probably referring to NCATE scores, so that big national test that is used to compare states to each other. And yes, Alaska as a whole state scored very low. Okay, but with the scoring low, we've had national recognition for a lot of our students. Because they're doing the rates on the whole state of Alaska, that's where it brings us down. Is there any rating out there that takes some schools and show that they're higher rated than others? Not with that particular assessment. That's state by state. So the closest we'll get is peaks when we get those results, and we can see how our identity we usually compare ourselves to the other.
But that's the only identification that they do is that one rating that you're speaking of.
Sort of
just the grades. Do they do anything else to put into that for them to come up with a rating? Do you know?
Well, so it is specific grade levels that are tested.
Because I know I looked at the U.S. News and World Report before. It was a couple of years ago when I looked at it. But we were rated up there around 40, whatever. I mean, 49 just sounds horrible. But I know, being in this state as long as I've been here, we're not 49. But I was just wondering if there was something else that would make a change in that rating because we're trying to get people to come here. And when they look at that for education, they decide to go somewhere else. That's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, and I think, that's why the commissioner has, really taken on this challenge, statewide. How can we, help all of our students achieve at a higher rate, and just meet the challenges of, education in Alaska. So that's all part of the governor's education challenge and the different work that's been done there. So, yeah.
Good. Okay.
I'll send you some stuff on that. Just
Good. I appreciate
report again. Yeah.
Because I have people that's coming here military and not non-military, and then they say to me, 49, you don't want to come there, so I just got to give them more information. And I tell them I've been here 30 plus years, okay? Yeah. So it's a good place to come. My other question was, the session that you're going to have on 5 September, the people that are coming, can they ask, are we going to have it set up where they can ask questions of the committee or the board or whatever, whoever's there?
It's actually, it's divided up into groups, and it really is a visioning session. So that's one of the things that, Mr. Jones, you remember Jeff Jones, stand up, he and I start out by saying there's no answers here except for a couple guardrails. I mean, we're building this from the ground up, so it really is just getting input from people on what kind of school they would like to see in a K-12 magnet model. So if there's, so we say when, where, how, what, we don't have answers to any of those questions yet because we're building that. So yes, so they can come and be part of the discussion and provide that kind of input, but we're not at the answers or that's what we're building the model from the ground up.
Okay, and with us building the model, will there be a point where we'll say, yeah, we're going to move ahead, or no, we're going to wait another couple of years? Because I know with K-8, we had some real, I think, hiccups, if you want to put it that way. We started out with how many schools we wanted? We wanted like 7 or 8, and we ended up with 5.
Yeah, we started with 5, and then the board moved and gave us direction that everybody should get involved, and then we ended up in the end with 3. So there will be, so my goal is to have the exact, not exact, but the same type of process where we have these checkpoints with the board, again, at least once a semester to say, okay, so here's the work that's been done, let's process through that, and in my view, here are the next steps forward, and do we want to keep moving forward?
So do we know how many numbers? I know I'm going off of K-12, but do we know what the numbers are with the 3?
We do. We didn't bring that today, but I can send that to you guys.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I was just going to add to the superintendent report, for those that weren't able to attend, that Dr. DeBork was named the 2019 Superintendent of the Year for the state of Alaska, which is great. I knew she wouldn't add it to her report, but the letters of support that were provided and talking with some folks around the state, she really has provided direction not just for our district but on a statewide level, which is really exciting, especially as we talk about how do we meet the needs of all students across the state. She's helped with that vision, so we're fortunate to have her here in our district, and congratulations on that. And with that, now I get to move to action item old business. We did amend our agenda, so although our printed agenda says that we don't have any action item old business, we did move to our new item to our old business. It was just a typo, so approval of the FY 2018-19 school district approved budget revisions. This is related to our goal and objective around organizational support, create an environment that supports the needs of staff to enable a school and organizational climate where students thrive. On May 23rd, 2018, the Board of Education approved a final budget for the 2018-19 school year. The rates used in the presentation for the TRS and PERS on behalf calculations were the 2017-18 rates as set by the Alaska Retirement Management Board. The district is required to book both the revenue and expenditure side of this contribution. The net budgetary effect to the district is 0, as the state legislature provides full funding for the expenditure. It is an annual adjustment made to the overall district budget in the final revision. It does cause a significant material final adjustment.
Move to approve revision to the fiscal year 2018-19 school district approved budget for the operating fund totaling $3,291,713, which consists of $2,901,713 TERS and PERS on behalf payments and $390,000 to meet the special education maintenance of effort requirement.
Second. Okay. Dr. DeBork.
Thank you. So as we look at the memo that you have provided for you, you can see that $2.9 million number. That's the final TERS PERS on behalf. And then just so folks remember, that's really an in and an out. So we book it as a revenue, and then it goes right out as an expenditure. But there's some processes that have to happen in the meantime. So you can see on that first page of the graph, the $2.9 million number as a whole, and then it gets spread out through those different operating fund expenditures based on the number of employees and types of employees in each category. So TERS and PERS employees. So that's how it gets spread out through the budget. And then the maintenance of effort piece is the special education piece. When you receive grant funding, which a significant portion of our special education funding is federal grant money, you have to be sure that those funds supplement and don't supplant. So you've got to keep your operating expenditures at the expected level that's determined by the state. So because, again, the book in and out is more than originally than the placeholder that we had for TERS PERS, we have to increase the expenditure for special education to that $390 million mark. And oh, sorry, that'd be a little bit too big. $390,000, thank you, dollar mark. And so, and the beautiful news is that when you have a healthy fund balance, you can do that without any concern. And so that's that $390,000 piece there. So those are the 2 parts of this, and Mr. DeGraw is available for questions if you have any.
Okay. Is there any public comment related to the I want to call it by the right name, the school district approved budget revisions? Okay, seeing none, go to the board for any questions or comments regarding the document. Mr. Doran?
Just so I understand this, we are increasing our budget by the $390,000, and so when we look at next year's budget and considerations out of fund balance, we need to keep in mind we'll have the exact numbers that we will be we'll have $390,000 less to perhaps help funding for the following year. Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions, Ms. Tuttle, would you please call the vote?
Mr. Jerome?
Yes.
Colonel Bondurant?
Yes.
Colonel Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Lambert? Yes. Mrs. McConnell?
Yes.
Mr. Doran?
Yes.
Mrs. Dominique?
Yes.
Mr. Bartels?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Ms. Tuttle. And so we are down to board and superintendent comments. Our next board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 4th at 7 p.m. We'll hold our student discipline meeting right before that regular board meeting. And I also wanted to this is my first time in memory, other than our testimony tonight, which was different busing testimony than we typically have. This is my first time in memory not being inundated with emails and phone calls on the first day of school about busing. And I want to give a big shout out to Ryan Hinton. He has worked tirelessly to help our relationship with First Student and has put into place some incredible pieces that I think, although we are not perfect, we are in a much better place than we have been in previous years. I truly don't remember a year that my phone, in the last 5 years, I don't remember a year that my phone hasn't rang on the first day of school because of busing issues. So thank you for your hard work, and thank you to First Student for their efforts. It really is noticed. I got a lot of positive comments and feedback within the community. And then the other thing I wanted to make the board aware of and the public aware of, I think it's going to be on the next agenda, and interestingly enough, we've been working on it, but the city has also announced looking at these types of things, but bringing forward an adjustment to our meeting times to start our meetings an hour earlier in hopes that we could then also adjourn an hour earlier some nights. But starting those meetings earlier, and part of the reason is that I've received a lot of feedback regarding our student performances and our student recognition and staff recognition, and sometimes we have students that are coming from outlying areas, and they often feel like they can't attend, or that they end up kind of jeopardizing their evening routine for getting to bed on time if they do come, because we start at 7. So it will be up for discussion. We won't discuss it this evening. I just want to let the board know that that it's something that I'm bringing forward, and I think is would be a positive discussion and move for our board meetings, and really impact our student population that comes to each of our meetings and provides us with the great music. I can't wait for that to start again, and our student recognition. So I just want to let people know that was coming. And then also big welcome to Andy DeGraw. Welcome back to Fairbanks. And I think you got off easy tonight, so we'll try and work it in slowly. As Tom and I said, we have 5 meetings to try and hook you on something. So we'll test you. Tom especially, he knows the numbers in his sleep. Wanted to thank Mr. Cluton for coming out and for recognizing all of our solo and ensemble music festival command performances. That was quite the group of kiddos that were able to be, students that were able to be here tonight, and the list and the agenda is quite impressive. We have some very talented students in our district. Also, congratulations to Corey Anthony, our LAD Elementary Principal of the Year, and also Heather Stewart, our Ryan Middle School Secondary School Principal of the Year. Tonight was a great start to showing and demonstrating what Ms. Dominique said, is that we know we have a great district, and so thank you to all those folks who were able to make it this evening. And I think that is all of it. Yes, I will turn it over to Colonel Fisher for any comments.
Yeah, just a couple. One, it's kind of exciting to not have to do everything for the first time. So I'm on my
got it down.
Here, and it's nice to be back and actually know what's going on. I was talking to Mike Campbell the other day. I do want to thank Ryan Hinton for just a fantastic job with the school bus effort. It did not go unnoticed by me. The things that made sense and why that was successful, and some of those things that I saw around Fort Wainwright were buses running empty, doing rehearsals, things that make sense, and make sure that we start the school year off successfully. And I just want to state for the record that it took a soldier to solve this issue. And we're proud to have taken a soldier for life and put him into the school district to provide that needed leadership in the transportation area. But the other thing that I just want to mention that we're working diligently on this year to try and get some momentum on is our Army School Partnership Program that's sponsored by U.S. Army Alaska. But really, the school liaison officer, Mike Campbell, has oversight on. And so I'd ask, as we get those points of contact identified, that we get some momentum going with it. If you're not seeing the soldiers that are supposed to be partnered with your schools, to let Mike and I know so that we can re-engage, and we're not just letting something sort of wither on the vine. It's Christmas time, and we haven't actually done anything with our partner schools. So it's something I've taken on. No one's asked us to take it on, but I just really feel like we're missing an opportunity there for engagement with the community, with our soldiers. I think we've got an outstanding volunteer corps across our formations on Fort Wainwright and across Army Garrison, Alaska. So again, just ask for your help in being scouts for me and scouts for Mike, so that we can get the feedback back to the units and the commanders that are associated with that program. And then lastly, next week on the 30th of August, we transformed from Garrison Fort Wainwright to Garrison, Alaska. It's not changing the name of the installation. There should have been some invitations gone out to key community leaders. If you haven't seen that in your inbox, let me know. But welcome to come out. It's going to be a very simple ceremony, but we've got our regional leadership coming in for that. But we'll be transforming to Garrison, Alaska. We're pretty proud of it. The big part of that is that we now assume responsibility for Fort Greeley as an indirect report through us to Incom Pacific. So when you're talking to Garrison, Alaska, you're talking to all the Army in Alaska as it pertains to the installation. So between here, Jay Bear, and Fort Greeley. So thanks. Good to be back for another school year.
Thank you, Colonel Fisher. Colonel Bondurant.
No further comments. Just glad to be back for a second here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dorn.
Thank you. A couple things, and I'm going to hitchhike on Ms. Dominique's comment and question about rankings. I was struck also at the recent League of Women's Candidate Forum that it was brought up that, or it was cited that Alaska ranked 49. In another forum in the Anchorage poll, it was brought up that it was ranked 46th. That Alaska was ranked 46th. And so I went online to look at some of the rankings. And indeed, we are ranked 49th on one score. We are ranked number 2 in the nation on another, and everything in between. And I bring that up because I think it's extremely important when we toss out rankings that we know what those rankings are, what they are ranking, and how they arrived at that. Because, and if you go on, you Google it, there are at least a dozen groups, that come up quickly of state rankings. And they are very different, whether it's by salaries, whether it's by student contribution, whether it's by policies in the state that have nothing to do necessarily with school operations and performance, whether they're on a particular test, whether that test was meant to rank states, how that's been developed, how it's, so I just really encourage that we be very careful what ranking we put out there, and how we use that to comment about, and in many cases to beat up upon, education in schools. And the reason I bring that up is because then we can really talk about, and we do, we visited schools. We've been in the classrooms. We see innovation. We see efforts at relationships. We see students and staff, and even when we look at the surveys, generally it didn't cover everybody's response, but it gives us a taste of these things. And again, generally pretty positive responses. Areas of improvement, yes, we want to strive forward, and I think this district has taken the lead, and you can look at over decades that it has. And so I just want to caution that we are very careful in our community and our state leadership, that we know what we're talking about when we put down a number and use it. On one hand, I'd say if 49th will get us better funding, appropriate levels of funding for schools, sure, I can use it. You can use numbers any way you want. If number 2 in the nation gets us an attraction for people coming and bringing excellent staff and such to our schools, parents coming here, and we know we have a reputation as providing good services for staff. We've had people come from outside who say, I heard about Fairbanks. Okay, then we can use numbers anyway, but I think we need to be very careful that we know what those numbers are measuring. And I know there was a comment the other night in the forum that, well, what schools really need to do is innovate. And so I really say, come to the school. I've been so impressed with what I see happening, and not just this year. I've seen, in the 30 years that I've been kind of closely watching the district, sometimes as a staff member, sometimes from just outside the district, we have been innovators. Our teachers are innovators. Our kids are innovators. And I think that, and our parents can't be left out of that because they pushed and they support it. And so I really want to speak positively about our schools. And I'm going to broaden that out beyond Fairbanks. I mean, I think Fairbanks is an outstanding district and has been a leader in the state. But I've had the opportunity to be in quite a number of other districts, urban and rural, and get at least a taste of what's going on there. And those efforts are tremendous that's going on. And so I just caution about how we toss out numbers and really understand how those numbers were arrived at and what they actually reflect. Linked with that, I just want to, I've reflected upon the personnel reports. And this summer we had not a large number, but we had several people who retired. And I know they'll have an opportunity to be recognized next May. But I just want to say that I know several of those people personally. I think they are a real loss to our district. And I want to thank them for, and all the, even those that I might not know personally, but I know what they do, thank them for their commitment to kids and to the education and the efforts they put forth to make this a good school district and to make sure that within their school, within their classroom, within this district, that we offer the best for kids. So I want to wish them the best, but recognize that we do have some real loss this summer as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dorn. Ms. McConnell. Thanks. I just have a few comments. I just want to wish, like everyone else has done, all the parents, students, and staff a good start to a new school year. I know as being a grandparent of 4 kids in the district, it's just nice to see the excitement on the kids' faces when they go off in their new clothes on the first day of school. So I just wish everybody a good school year. I want to welcome Andy as our new COO, and I look forward to working with you this year. And I just want to say to those that have testified that, and I always say this, but I really do appreciate the testimony because it's really important that you bring the concerns about our district to us as a board. I'm glad that the administration is looking into the North Pole football situation and also the bus concern about walking and the downtown area, because I think that is a valid concern, and I'm glad it's going to be looked into. Safety is, one of our biggest issues here in the districts, and I just hope that something can be resolved in that issue. And what else? I appreciate your report, Dr. Gaborik, and especially about the projection, the numbers. I'm going to be looking forward to hearing how our class sizes are doing this year as it all settles down, because that is a big concern also on the sizes versus learning for our students. So, but again, I just wish everybody a good start to the school year. Thank you. Thanks, Ms. McConnell. Ms. Lambert. So I'm going to keep it really short because Ms. McConnell basically took everything I wanted to say. But I wish everybody a great start to the school year, and I know it's going to be a great school year. My daughter was very excited to go off to 7th grade and has had a lot of fun these last 3 or 4 days and no homework yet. So, which is probably coming, but right now it's not. But so I'm looking forward to this year because we're going to have a great year. Thanks, Ms. Lambert. Mr. Bartels.
So I always appreciate this time of year with the energy and excitement, and it was great to kick off tonight's meeting with the celebration of all the command performance that was recognized. I want to give Mr. Clinton a shout out. I don't know that he mispronounced a single name, though I'm not sure if I would know, but that was an impressive showing on itself. So certainly want to recognize the principals of the year too, Ms. Anthony, and of course Ms. Stewart, who helped get my kids through school. Thank you for that. It's well deserved for both. And Dr. Gaborik, Superintendent of the Year. I couldn't agree more, and I just think that there's many exciting opportunities for the district that I appreciate you bringing forward for us. So thank you for your tremendous leadership and all you do, both on and off the court. So thank you. And I do want to also recognize the North Pole community, Representative Tammy Wilson, for coming out and voicing their concerns on the allegations that we will be looking into. And I appreciate Ms. Kraska and Ms. McKenzie for their leadership on that. Just taking these things are serious allegations. We want to make sure that our student athletes are safe and that those influences are positive. I can only speak from experience. There's been numerous coaches in my life that have.
Sherry's not happy with you.
Sorry, that have made a major impact in my life. So I appreciate the fact that that's being brought to the forefront. I was going to look over at Colonel Bondurant and Colonel Fisher because I'm sure I'll butcher a hua. Is that correct? Okay. For Mr. Hinton, I mean, I have to say, I think it was just about a year ago we were sitting here, and I had made the reference that I wanted to get my shopping at the grocery store down to the half hour that it used to be, and from the 2 hours that I think I was spending, just because it was such a major concern with the busing. So I just really appreciate the investment of time and leadership there, and also the serious approach that
I want to mention Ms. Pierce as well in this and coming forward. So it's been a blessing. So thank you for that time back. And also, Dr. DeBoer, this year's kickoff, it was exciting. It was full of energy, and I enjoyed being part of a positive picketing. I got to say, I've never done that before, both positive or negative, but certainly not positive. And I enjoyed being part of the cheerleading team and welcoming all the staff back. So thank you for another great kickoff. And so with that, I'll just leave President Haas. I'm all in favor of the extra hour. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bartels. Ms. Dominique.
Well, I wanted to start off a different way, but I think I'll go the route of what everybody else has been saying. I think it's wonderful to start off the school year. That's great. So far, so good. I have a 3-year-old that's getting ready for preschool. I just can't believe he's 3 already. But he's a little pistol, how he knows. And I'm going to go to school with him to introduce him so the teachers can be aware. He's nothing like my other one. So he's going to be a pistol. That's all I can say. I wanted to thank the testimony that we got tonight from the North Pole parents. This is a very, very tragic incident, if it is happening the way it's been stated. The allegations that are brought to us, I'm glad people feel they're comfortable to come and let us know about these things. My son played football in high school, as you most know, went to the NFL. He had problems when he was there, but I just have to say the coach that he had was fabulous, Mr. Witham. I will never, ever forget that man. He was a counselor over at Lakeville High School, and he didn't take any mess from anybody. Parents couldn't even come and approach him and come to him with a bunch of mess. And the reason why I'm saying mess, because your allegations are serious. The things that happened when he was on the football team were serious, but he handled them. The coach handled them, and that's what I think you all are expecting of the North Pole coach. I don't know if it's true or false, but I really appreciate you all bringing that to our attention. We did get Representative Wilson's email, but the other emails, I'm looking forward to reading those as well. And I know they will do a very thorough investigation of these incidents. And I will also want to thank Ryan also, because whenever anything is brought to Mr. Ryan, he seems like he go out head first. He goes out there and does everything humanly possible. I've been told that Mr. Ryan comes to work like at 3 in the morning in the wintertime. I think he's the person that goes out and rides the routes to make sure the roads are safe and everything. And Ryan, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you're doing for this district. You're really a commendable young man. I also wanted to give you an early speaking of a loss that we had in the African-American community, Aretha Franklin. And if I say these words, I know you know the song, and you need to sing it with me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take back, C-P-T. Shaka-laka-laka. Okay, you got the point, okay? But y'all supposed to sing with me, okay? Aretha Franklin was born March 25th, 1942. She passed away on August 16th, 2018. Was an American singer, songwriter, and pianist. She began her career as a child singing gospel in her father's church. She is very, very well recognized for civil rights, things that she was involved in. She has an accolade, and I just found out tonight, she left $80 million and she didn't have a will. But that's something that's kind of traditional in the old school with the African-American singers. They weren't taught to do things with their money. A lot of them have been educated to do these things, but back in her time, she probably just didn't have time to do a will. So I'm hoping someone will get her funding and put it towards school education. But thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dominique. That was a beautiful. I think we were all listening.
Yeah.
It was so great. We were all listening. Then you start dancing. We needed Kyrie here to help you out. Mr. Durham.
Thank you. So I have a whole summer's worth of stuff to say, but I'll get that. So starting off, we have a new school year, and that is an opportunity for, just gobs of new opportunities. And we all have the option of making this school year successful. And as students, as parents, educators, administrators, support staff, we all owe it to each other to help make the school year as positive as possible. And I know that as we start to, when we lose sunlight and it gets a little bit harder to get yourself up and go to school or go to work every morning, and that's when it becomes really important for students to watch out for each other, and for staff to watch out for students, and for students to watch out for staff, and for staff to watch out for staff. And just making sure that we are taking care of ourselves so that we don't have to go through any more student tragedies like we had a few last year. And just making sure that our words and our actions make the community that we are in as strong as possible, because you think about, the words that you say, they roll off your tongue, but, putting thought into them and making sure that those are productive words is really important. I wanted to thank the community of North Pole for having their representatives out in the audience today, and I really, I'm sorry that, we have students going through tragedies like that. It's, not something that I'm glad that it was brought to our attention, but it's not something that we are happy to have to, we are glad to work through this and get the best possible outcome, but it's never something that we hope to work on. But just saying that, I had one suggestion regarding coaching staff. I know I had an issue as a student athlete with a coach last year, and I was encouraged to fill out a coach evaluation form, but I found out that I would not, that my name would be released to the coach, and citing concerns that Representative Wilson brought forward that parents filed reports but kids were benched of it. We don't want students facing repercussions for speaking up, and I think that if it was possible to have a report where students' names could be withheld from the coach but still reported to the school, I think that would be productive, so there's still accountability to the school, so students are not making stuff up, but that coaches can't negatively impact students. We might be able to nip more issues at the bud that way. I know it's intimidating for a student to speak up and say, what if I don't get a varsity letter this year because my coach doesn't like me because I complained about something? It's easy to feel like you would be belittled because of that, and as Representative Wilson said, there seems to be a little bit of that already. So just my suggestion on that. I don't know what the process would be for putting that through, but again, new school year, great new opportunities, and I really hope that we can make this as successful as possible by being there for each other. Like I said, not just student to student or staff to student, but every person to every person. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durham. Dr. Clark.
I think just one thing I forgot from my report, I'll talk about First Student. So I met myself and Mr. DeGraw met with a heavy-hitting team from First Student that included the president of First Student USA, who made a trip up today. And anyway, it was very positive. And so we had a good conversation and talked about steps forward. And they are very cognizant of the fact that we will be considering a new bid in 3 years, and they want to make it right. So I felt very good about that conversation. So I'll send you more details in one of my weekly updates. So thanks. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. The only thing that I was going to add, just personally, was it's pretty impressive to receive the email around our social service managers and the number of social services managers that we are now at 10. Am I right? when we started adding them to the budgets and talking about the need, so we call them social services managers, they're social workers. We were, it was somewhat in correlation with just needs of students and things like that. But I want to just thank the staff that have embraced this new kind of concept in our district, and not just at the administrative level who's been hiring the staff, but also at the school level, embracing what social workers could do. I had the opportunity for the last 5 years to work with a social worker in our office, and the amount of support that can be provided to families and coworkers is absolutely incredible, and they just have a little bit different lens than a lot of us do. And so with that, also the work that is being done around ACEs, and I would encourage the board to really make sure that we understand as decision makers in our community for students what ACEs is, how it impacts students, because so many of our students have been impacted by adverse childhood experiences, and those adverse childhood experiences impact their success in our district, their success in our community. And it's not just our district that needs to be focused on this. I feel really passionate about ACEs. It's our community. Our community needs to understand the impact that happens when a child has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adverse childhood experiences, and how that impacts them, their success rate in school, their attendance rate in school, their success rate outside of school, whether they're going to attend colleges or not, whether they're able to hold jobs in the future. That's a community issue, and I commend the district for being a leader in the community for getting that information out. I've talked a lot with Mr. Kind at CEC. He's a big ACEs supporter, and so just putting it out there for the community and for board members to really be aware of what ACEs is and how it impacts students in our district, because those students are going to be citizens on their own in our community, and understanding how they've been impacted really is the job of all of us to meet their needs and help them to navigate the road successfully. So just a little plug for social service managers and ACEs and that student social emotional support that is so critical to the success of our students, because if our students don't feel supported, whether it's at home or at school, their success in school is going to show. So with adverse childhood experiences, and I'm sure that there are folks, I'm not pinpointing you guys over there, but folks that would be willing to send links. I'm happy to send links on information. I think we've seen a little bit in the past. We have some brochures. It's just very powerful information that our community needs to be aware of. So with that, at 9:10, 11, sorry, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Anyone? Seeing no objections, we're adjourned. Thank you.